streams are and the characteristics of applications which process them, we'll now examine the role of Apache Kafka in a stream processing pipeline. To start, let's revisit the fact that when it comes to data processing, there are broadly two paradigms which can be applied. One of these is batch processing, and at the other extreme end is stream processing. And of course, there is micro batch processing, which falls somewhere in the middle. To understand Kafka, however, we will need to examine stream processing in a little more detail. And for that, we will revisit a significant stream processing use case, namely in the detection of fraudulent transactions. A bank customer may initiate a transaction, and this may be in the form of a bank-to-bank transfer, or maybe even a purchase using a debit or credit card. In any case, the bank will want an application to look at this transaction in real time and flag it as legitimate or suspicious. In the case of the transaction being legit, this can simply be committed to a database, say a relational database, where the details can be accessed later on by the account holder, or maybe even an analysis team within the bank in their monthly or quarterly reports. On the other hand, if the transaction does seem suspicious, the owner of the account which initiated the transaction will need to be notified, and this may need to happen rather quickly because the transaction cannot be committed until the user approves of it. The communication with the end user here may happen via the mobile app or maybe even an email. For an app to implement such a workflow, let's take a look at the different pieces which must come together and how exactly they interact, starting with a transaction service. This may be part of a web or mobile application which is used to initiate a transaction. Once the transaction is created, this will be passed along over to a fraud detection service, whose job it is to flag a transaction as legit or suspicious. The implementation of this service is not quite so important. What is significant for us is that there are two potential outcomes in here. If the transaction appears safe, this will be passed along to a data formatting and storage service, and if it is suspicious, this will be passed along to a user notification service. And from here, there are two further courses of action. Legitimate transactions will be formatted and then committed to a database for permanent storage, while the notification service may update the end user via a mobile app or an email. Optionally, information may also be passed along to the application which initiated the transaction so that the end user is notified of what exactly is going on.